Some information here.
If I'm Houston,
We're on our
unless
phone, don't worry,
it
we're
doesn't
not
work,
texting, we're just
I just lost my
learning about
job.
sports.
Three,
Two.
one.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is GV Talk Sports. I'm Brock Elsester, and I'm here with...
We'll start at this end. Mr. Dutt.
Brad McKnight.
Chelsea George.
Paul Hoffman.
Kenny Norris at the board.
Jonathan Rizzo.
Mr. Horton. Well, we have a special guest with us today over between Chelsea and Kennedy. Mr. Hoffman is joining us. Mr. Hoffman, for those of you who don't know, was a stud at St. Bonaventure back in the early 70s. Welcome, Mr. Hoffman. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you, Mr. Dutt.
Can you tell us, we had, I think, Brock, maybe you want to ask this question. You were telling us that you play sports because you have a single goal. Any question you want to ask Mr. Hoffman?
Well, like, how much work, like, in the sport of basketball did it take for you to, like, become a Division I college player?
Well, basically, I played basketball almost every day. If I didn't go down and play in the gym, I went down to the playground. And on Saturdays, I'd get there about 9 o'clock in the morning and go home about 5 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
When did you know that you had a shot of being a D1 player?
Well, about after my sophomore year, I began getting all kinds of letters from all kinds of Division I schools, starting out with Brigham Young and Florida State, and eventually St. Bonaventure.
Now, I don't know if these younger ones know. Who was your high school basketball coach?
My one high school basketball coach was Digger Phelps, who ended up being the head coach at the University of Notre Dame for probably 10 years or more.
Right, and he's the one that, for those of us who watch March Madness, would see Digger Phelps doing
ESPN and,
Yeah.
and sometimes games on TV for the NCAA.
Yeah. So why St. Bonaventure? Why not Florida State? I'm just telling you. It was between St. Bonaventure and Florida State.
Well, actually, the reason was the priest that got me to go to St. Gabriel's in Hazleton, where I grew up, also was a St. Bonaventure graduate. And I happened to go up and watch them as I was a senior. And this big stud was out on the court by the name of Bob Lanier. And I looked at the priest and I said to him, well, I'll get here. I'll start as a sophomore because back then you couldn't start as a freshman, and we're going to win the NCAA, which was a dream.
That's cool that you actually could think about that dream and picture that. That's awesome.
Well,
of course, Bob Lanier is a stud.
Yeah, and our first thing when we went into practice at my sophomore year was just there were 2 words on the board, and it says College Park. And the reason that was there is that's where the NCAA was going to be played that year in Maryland. And that's the only thing we were thinking about.
Any questions from the panel before I throw in another question?
So when you guys were through the season, what would your coach do to kind of keep you guys motivated through the season instead of, like, if there's a bad game or something, you guys kind of lose it? What would he do to keep you guys engaged?
Our coach mostly would start at the top and pick on Bob and get him mad. And once you got him mad, the rest of us had to listen because we didn't want to argue with Bob.
That's an interesting coaching point. Have any of you ever seen that in action, where the coach goes after the best player?
Yes.
Yeah.
And if the coach can get the best player to come to his side, everybody else goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, you coached here as well.
I coached at Belmont for years and then at Genesee Valley for a few years, yes.
Winning at least 1 sectional title or 2?
We won my last year at Belmont. We won the Class Double D sectionals for girls.
Now, for those of you who aren't as old as we are, that would be D1 now. The Double Ds were the bigger of the
Right.
2 D sections. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, this is an easy question. Who's the best player you ever played with?
That would have to be Bob Lanier. That was not a problem.
How many of you guys know who Bob Lanier is?
I know who he is.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Any questions, Mr. Horton? We had some technical difficulties, so Mr. Horton is fixing
Yeah,
it
I
for us.
mean, you in high school, this is a private school, right?
It was a Catholic school.
Kind of.
I was at a different school and as an 8th grader, and I started varsity in 8th grade. And that school basically closed because it was just too small. And the priest that was there got transferred to Hazleton, which was like 55 miles away from where I lived. And I literally was underneath the cow milking it when he came up to ask me if I wanted to go to St. Gabriel's in Hazleton. And I says, "You're talking to the wrong person. My mother's right down the road. You need to talk to her." And by the time I got home that night from doing my chores, I was going to Hazleton, PA, which I had no clue where it was. It was the same thing, really, as a college or a high school. I didn't have a clue where St. Bonaventure was when I was graduating from high school. I learned real quick, but I didn't know
Right.
at first where it was.
So interestingly enough, I've always, you guys made it to the Final Four. Did you guys talk about that already?
No, we haven't gotten there.
Yeah, your Bonaventure career was pretty good. Hate to burst the bubble. Never did actually win that NCAA title, but made it to the Final Four.
You did get to College Park.
You did.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the Final Four and what that experience was like?
The Final Four was just amazing. We really still thought we could win even without Bob. We tried very hard.
He got injured.
He got injured the game just before the Final Four.
In the regional final.
In the regional finals against Villanova. They always pick on Ford for doing it, but Ford didn't know what he did. He went over a guy's foot. His head was looking at the floor when he ran into Lanier. I was standing this close to Lanier when it happened. I always said if he hit me, I would land it up there. But Bob being so strong, he tried to stay with it, and that's when the knee popped. Me, like I said, I would have just flew.
And so Bob was out, and then you went on to the semifinals? That
We went on. Back then, you had the Final Four. You actually played 2 games, no matter what. You played in the Final Four. You played the first game. If you won that, you played for the championship. If you lost it, you played for basically 3rd place. And we played Jacksonville, who had 2 7-footers, a 6'11", a 6'5", and a 6'3". Our biggest guy after we lost Lanier was 6'5". So at the end of the game, when I'm looking around, Larry looked at me and he says, "You got Gilmore." And I'm looking at Gilmore going, "He's 7'3", coach. Our point guard." He says, "Look around. You're all guards out there now." Because we falled out, I think, 8 players. I had 4. We didn't have anybody left on the bench. They shot, I think, 60-some falls, which might be a record.
So it was fixed.
Yeah, well,
There you go.
Thank you. I knew we'd get
we
there.
felt that they didn't want us to win. They wanted UCLA to play Jacksonville. And we ended up losing by 8, and then we ended up losing the next game by 6.
Wasn't there somebody who played for UCLA at that time?
You had Wicks, Rowe, Patterson, Valley, and Bibby. And
Bibby
everyone,
would be Mike Bibby's
everyone,
dad. Yeah, right.
Everyone but Valley, I think. Valerie played in the NBA.
So something that always amazes me, because I've had many conversations with you, is you almost remember every minute from every game and every player on every team that you played. It's amazing that you remember those things.
Well, I studied the game. I tried to know what I was going to have to do. I knew whoever we played, when we played Niagara, I knew who I had.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to be the 3rd guard. It was going to be Calvin Murphy.
Right.
That was my man. And when we played Purdue, it was going to be Rick Mount. And thank God we didn't have to play LSU, because it wasn't going to be Pistol Pete Maravich, because they happened to lose before. We were in the same kind of tournament, and they happened to lose, and I was somewhat happy. So you get tired of running through all those picks and into all those people setting for all these stars. We didn't have set picks for Lanier. You just threw the ball in.
He was his own pick.
Yes,
Right.
he was.
He's a
You
big
didn't
dude.
move him. I found out as a freshman playing against him. We had a guy guarding him, and Lanier set a pick on me, and that just about took my head off. And then I almost took our center's head off, who was a freshman, because he didn't tell me the pick was there, and I was a
Right.
little upset with the fact that you didn't tell me I was running into a wall.
Well,
So Lanier was what, 6'11",
265 would probably be
nice?
nice.
Yeah, okay.
But it wasn't a fat 265.
No,
It
no.
was a solid
was
265.
and I've always, wondered about practices and how you get along with other players. When you see somebody else on the team, or like when Lanier saw somebody, was he the guy that made people toe the line? Does that happen? Does that really happen on teams?
He was a leader. He led us. Him and Billy both were seasoned players. They were seniors. Me and Gant were sophomores, and Bubba was a somewhat junior because he missed a whole half year for eligibility. So we were basically 3 young players playing with 2 seniors who were very mature and had this. They thought they were going to make it the year before, and now this was it. We were going to win the NCAA.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. That is cool.
So Lanier goes pro.
Yes.
Any of the other players on the team get to play pro basketball?
All but Lanier got drafted, Gant got drafted, I got drafted, Gary got drafted. We all tried out. We all didn't make the teams that we got drafted by.
Now that was the NBA draft was more than just 2 rounds at that point. Yes or no?
It was like 10 rounds.
Oh, okay.
So they went way down, and you had a lot of things. Like I was at the Braves then in Buffalo, and I was also drafted by the Nets because you had the NBA and the ABA.
The ABA, right?
And the Nets guy called me and told me he only had 3 guards, and that he mentioned them, and I knew I was better than those. And then I got down there, and it was like 9 guards. And I had actually gotten injured at the Buffalo camp, so I wasn't 100% anyway. But if I made it, I wouldn't have lasted many years. My legs would have gave out.
Or we've had that conversation where you jumped and I just don't, and that's why I've been able to play a little bit.
I made a mistake. I violated that rule way back then where white men couldn't jump. I could jump. People ask me how could I dunk the ball. I says, whatever way you want it.
Exactly. My goodness.
That's why I ended up playing I played a lot of forward as a sophomore, even though I was a guard. And I jumped center in high school, played forward, and brought the ball up if anybody pressed. Just because I was taught to do.
That's what D1 players do.
Yes.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, cool. You're gonna stick around with us and join our discussion as we move forward, and we're gonna talk local sports, or what are we gonna talk?
Got girls tomorrow.
Yes.
What's going on, Ken?
We've been practicing hard. We've moved things around, but I think we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay.
Did you make any changes going into the playoffs, or you just leave things? I mean,
We
you
made a
beat
couple
Fillmore
changes.
2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, we made a couple changes, but we gotta want it.
Fillmore, right? Is it
Fillmore.
playing?
Yeah,
Fillmore
they
tomorrow
played
at 3
last
o'clock
night
here,
against Honeyway. Yep, here at 3.
Okay.
Wasn't Honeywell the 1 seed or something?
No, that was for soccer.
Oh.
Their Honeyway's volleyball team wasn't very good. But.
Yeah, I think they've only won a game.
I don't know, but they hung with Fillmore in the 3rd set yesterday. It was weird. It was
Did you watch it?
very weird. Yeah, I went.
Oh, okay.
Fillmore dominated the first 2, didn't let them score more than 10 points both times, and then they ended up scoring 23 in the 3rd. So it
Did
was
Fillmore make some substitutions?
no.
No.
They just
took their foot
Honeywell
off the
all of a
gas.
sudden just started returning. They basically they never returned in the 1st, and then they started returning. So it was
Well, in playoffs,
exciting.
there is no tomorrow.
yeah.
Right.
You
I
either
think that's
show up and play,
Yeah.
or you don't play the next game.
Yeah.
You got to be ready to play every game from that point on.
That's why I love and hate sectionals. Because it can be for you or against you, because you can have a team that you've beat 3 times already, and then they could come and beat you because it's sectionals. And there's a lot of seniors on the teams, and it really lights the fire.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it
Come on
does.
out and support them tomorrow.
Now, is there a cost to get in?
Nope, no cost.
Okay.
The price of fandom. No, that's
I
not.
have no idea. I just thought I'd do that with you because I
I feel
like
like I'm disconnected from J
Sold out
Money.
now.
I feel like I'm.
mean?
I feel like I'm disconnected from J Money Rizzo over here. He's on the other side. He's wearing some kind of jersey. I'm not sure the relevance of that. What is going on over there?
Not much. He's sitting at home doing nothing. He needs to show up, but
He's killing my fantasy team. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, same.
In my league, he's sitting as a free agent because nobody wants.
Nobody
to keep
wants him.
I don't blame them. Not.
I'm hoping he's coming back for the playoffs for me.
I don't think he's gonna come back.
You think he's done for the year?
I think he's done, and I think he's gonna sit until it's too late. And I believe, I don't know if 100% certain, but I'm pretty sure that if he doesn't show up at all, they
He's-
get him next year too.
Right, he's still on the Steelers.
Yeah.
Which is why I think he'll actually show up for at some point. Like, I don't know if there's a minimum number of games he has to play.
My dad
But-
mentioned a deadline, but I don't know if he was talking about the trade deadline
Oh,
or I don't think there's a deadline to show up, but there might be. I don't know.
Right.
The
If there's a deadline to show
the
up for the
deadline's this
playoffs,
week, isn't it, for trades?
Yeah, it's next
Might
week,
be.
I think, or this
Yeah.
week.
That's so interesting. That's such an interesting, because you told me the number. What is he sacrificing every week?
A lot.
855,000
Yeah, it's a lot
crazy
of money.
a week for not playing.
Oh my God.
Stupid. It doesn't make sense.
On a local sports note, Brock, do you have any J Money Rizzo news
Oh,
that you want to share with anybody?
John shot a bear.
You don't have to share that.
Last night, John ended up shooting a bear when he was out hunting with a bow and arrow. Would you like to talk about that, John?
I heard he killed it with his hands.
Yeah, by the end of
His
the day, it'll be
barehanded.
like he was barehanded with no shoes on.
Well, I'm gonna.
While he was attacking a poor little
wrestled
child.
it.
Well, I'm gonna have to. I'll have to shut that one down right there. There's not much to say about it. It's just,
You were actually deer hunting, right?
yeah.
And this bear came across your path.
Yep. 15
Big?
yards away. It's not huge. It's a female. It never had any cubs, so I'm glad about that because I didn't think so.
Mhm.
There's a lot of bears where I hunt, so it's like
Interesting.
not really. It's like I
Were
don't
you in
know.
a stand or were you on the ground?
In a stand. So
Okay.
no.
But bears can climb though too, right? Yeah. Bears can climb.
Yeah, but once you put an arrow through it, it's probably not going to climb. Especially if you put it right through its lungs. So
Wow. Wow. That's impressive. That's another side of J Money Rizzo we've never seen there.
What?
That's actually pretty
Impressive.
cool. That was,
What?
that's cool. That's amazing.
Well, we're just saying we're happy for you, man.
We're
That's
proud
cool.
of you, John.
All right. Well, we'll go to the NBA to get Brock back into the conversation.
Oh my God.
The Lakers finally won last night. Kobe doesn't have to come out of retirement.
Yeah. Well, they won before that, but that was their second win of the season.
Really? Wow. They got two. So does that mean?
79-4. They're gonna do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we talked the other day about at what point do you think a team is actually going to, like, they fit into their thing? This is who they are.
Well,
Where are we with the Lakers?
right now, it's too soon to say. Like,
So it's still too soon in the NBA.
I think the Lakers will
It's
figure it out
too
eventually.
soon for a couple more weeks, really.
Yeah.
If not
honestly,
more.
To give a real good prediction of how like the playoffs will go, you got to wait till like the middle of the season.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
All-Star break,
but you
starting
can't
to
tell
get a pretty
something
good
about a
idea.
team in general after like 10 games?
I mean, you can, but it's not concrete because
Mm-hmm.
I think once you get to the All-Star break is when you really start making conclusions about the teams that are concrete. You might get like the Lakers aren't looking too good. Their team play is not good, but that takes
Okay,
one
so if,
game to change.
so if we're 1-9, let's just throw that out there.
Yeah.
What I think you're talking about is the middling teams that we don't know about. But 1-9, you're pretty sure they're not good. The Bills have only played 7 games, and you guys are pretty sure they're not good.
Well, there's 82 games in NBA.
So that makes a difference.
Right, yeah.
The Bills are halfway through their season, just about. So I don't know. I think it's pretty fair to say that they're not a good team.
Okay.
Bills have been pretty
And
consistent.
football's
I
a
think the
little
Bills are going to turn it
Consistently-
around.
Football's a little different. There's 16 games, and
Right.
you got to win those games if you
Mhm.
want to have a chance. Basketball, you can lose,
Yeah.
30 games, and you can still make the playoffs and
More
make a
than
good
30.
run.
That's crazy.
So,
We talked about this the other day. Chad Kelly, isn't it Chad Kelly got released?
yeah, Mr. Irrelevant. The
I
last
know.
pick in
I
the
put it
draft.
up, but it is relevant though because we expect him in a Bills uniform pretty soon.
No.
Because they always talk about trust the process and character guys and all that stuff.
He's-
They're not
I
going
don't trust the process.
Yeah, trust the
You
process.
need to trust the process,
I'm
but
just-
not the Bills process. 76ers process.
That's funny. Hey, the Bills broke the drought last year.
Yeah, they did.
Well, here's an interesting trivia question for you then. The Buffalo Bills have a certain number of passing yards and passing completions or whatever. When was the last time the amount of yards the Bills have right now would have been considered above average in the NFL?
think you asked us this before.
Passing yards?
I did, but we
or-
never got to the answer.
Is it passing yards or?
Yeah, passing yards.
Rushing yards would have been.
Wait,
Rushing yards, they're
we're
actually
talking about the
close
year
to
or the
average or
amount
above.
yards?
Probably like
But
the
passing
50s.
yards.
It's definitely the 50s.
2007.
Was O.J. Simpson playing?
No.
Was it earlier?
can't go
than-
show how
It
much
was
you know,
definitely
Jesus.
earlier than that.
What if I get to lose?
1941.
Yeah.
Close with
Did you see that
Yeah,
Todd
even I
Gurley
wasn't
by
born.
himself has more yards than the entire Bills combined? One man has more yards than the entire.
Gurley has more yards than
Yes.
the entire Bills team.
Todd Gurley has more yards than the Bills' entire.
But Todd
team.
Gurley's a stud.
Yeah, Todd Gurley is, but also it's an entire team.
I think he got picked on in high school with the last name of Gurley.
No.
If you pick on him, you're not going to pick on him for long. He might have gotten picked on once.
Once, right.
Then everyone
Right.
saw what happened.
When he was a 7th grader and beat up a senior, and that was it.
Senior in college, maybe.
He's a big dude. The reason I asked that question about, and going back to a sport I enjoy watching, the Sabres, after 10 games, are now 6-4. They've actually
crazy
won.
game.
They actually played okay last night.
I think you can say they're going to be decent.
They're gonna be
I don't
decent.
think
Yeah.
they're going to be a playoff team, but they'll
Kenny,
be.
you a
You
hockey
still don't
fan?
think they're going to be playoff
I
team?
do
Yeah.
Am I a
not.
hockey
Okay.
fan? I'm a hockey fight fan.
See? That's another whole nother show.
That is a
Should-
whole nother show.
Should there be fighting in hockey?
Yes.
Should there be fighting in football?
There should be fighting in every sport.
Should there be fighting in basketball?
Yes.
Should we just go do everything in a cage?
Should there be
Yes.
fighting in bowling?
Yeah.
I tell you, bowling would be more interesting.
Bowling. Curling?
You got
Yes.
helmets and everything in football. What's a fight in football?
Yes, exactly.
Only a rookie comes out with his helmet off.
Well, Mr. Huffman, you're a golfer. What about full contact golf?
I don't think so.
Have you ever seen Happy Gilmore?
Yeah.
Happy Gilmore with Bob Barker.
You could just.
Right now, I have a hard enough time getting out of the cart. So we're not doing this contact.
That's too funny. We did have another NBA idea. Brock, talk to us. You and John were talking earlier. Jimmy Butler trade, possibly.
Yeah, speculation's going around that he might be traded to Houston for 4 first-round picks, which is I think is a little ridiculous.
A
'cause-
little? That's a lot ridiculous. One player is not worth 4 first-round
Like
picks.
I could see what
I
they're
heard-
thinking
I don't know.
because
Let's just LeBron.
Well, like, if it's that many first-round picks, it's likely like you're not going to get anybody in like the top 15 or the lottery. If it's 4 first-round picks for one player.
Okay, but 4 first-round picks, you're
Dude,
talking
yeah.
4 years, right? So are
And-
Harden and CP3 and those guys going to be able to keep it together for 4 years where you're only getting a low round
I think
draft pick?
Harden
And
will, but
chances-
CP3 I don't think will
Yeah,
for that
he's-
long.
Chances
Yeah.
are they're
he's
not
getting old.
consecutive
Carmelo
draft
Anthony
picks
won't.
either. Some of them could be 10 years off in the future. Nobody knows what the Rockets are going to do. They could be the worst team in the
Oh,
league by then.
sure.
We don't know what picks have been offered.
Right, so it could be the 2020, 2024,
Yeah.
It could be the
2028.
2029 first-round draft pick.
You can do that. You can trade draft picks that far out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
Well,
have
I
any
think,
idea.
Higher,
I think,
but
it-
I
I think
don't
it's
know
only
how
within
high,
like.
but-
I
think
think
it's
you
only
can,
like
but like
5
the
years.
value's
Yeah.
extremely low. I think that's probably why it's 4.
Gotcha.
But I still, it doesn't make sense. There was an analogy on ESPN. It's like giving $20 and getting $5 back, or
Right.
giving $5 and getting $20 back, not giving 20 and getting 5.
Right.
Well, it is for the one
It
team.
is for the, yeah.
Well, it depends on what side you're on, right?
So if you're Minnesota, do you even think twice about this?
No,
Yeah,
You just
your
sign
team,
the paper and
you're a
take the 4
team
draft picks.
that's
I think
got
so.
a lot of young players on the team. Andrew Wiggins, Carl Anthony Towns, and they're gonna be there. They're not gonna leave. They like the place. It seems like. So you just start going for it. You got to get young players.
So why does Houston even make this deal? Why does Houston even?
Well,
Because if
They
they, get
want
Jimmy
Jimmy
Butler,
for
if
this
they get
team.
Jimmy
They want
Butler,
Jimmy
they're the favorite to win the title.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're bringing him in for his defense, I think, because I mean, Carmelo Anthony, James Harden's gotten better, but I mean, it's not like he's known for his defense, obviously. And CP3,
Carmelo Anthony's not a defender.
No,
he
no.
he doesn't really play
And,
very good defense.
Jimmy Butler and Clint Capella would kind of.
Carmelo Anthony, is he made a career out of like the just collecting money?
The pull-up jumper.
Yeah,
the
basically.
pull-up jumper.
Really cool headbands though, dude.
The only time he's
Watch it.
the only time he was ever really relevant was when he was with the Nuggets, but
I thought he was pretty relevant when he
Yeah,
played for
college.
Cuse.
Yeah.
Took him to the final
yeah,
four.
I mean in the NBA, but
Yeah.
Well, and I'm picking on Carmelo. he's better than I'll ever be.
Oh,
So.
absolutely. Well, and which is why I don't pick on Hoffman.
I don't know, you
'cause
might
he's
be a better
than I've ever been.
Exactly.
But Carmelo does remind me of Bill Murray in Space Jam. Whoa. I don't play defense.
Yeah, whoa. It's not in my contract. We've missed, how much time we got left, Riley?
3-ish.
All right, so in about 2 minutes, we want to go to final thoughts. We'll dedicate this last quality minute to baseball. Because there are people still playing.
Right.
I know.
Do the Dodgers have a chance now that you're out of Fenway?
They have a chance.
At least to win a game or two.
But right now,
Not with.
I think they're gonna get swept. Right now.
Bueller is pitching tonight. Bueller.
Bueller.
You think the Sox are going to get swept out there?
No, I think the Sox.
You
are
think it's over? You think it's
yeah.
over in 4?
Yeah.
Really?
The way it's going right now, I think so. Unless, I don't know how the game's going to, but right now I think the Sox are gonna
David
sweep.
Price?
He pitched great.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's what they pay him the money
That's what
for.
they paid him money for.
Well,
This
he's
is it,
pitching
right?
for the Red
Right
Sox
now,
tonight.
the whole
Or
rest of
is
the
he
season,
Purcell?
everybody
Purcell's
was
Purcell
going
is
for the Red
pitching.
Sox,
Yeah,
and he pitched great against the
Purcell
Yanks.
has been pitching good the entire postseason, and he's a good hitter for
Yeah.
not having to bat all the time.
Oh, that's right. He's got a hit, doesn't
Yeah, he's got a pretty.
Are they-
He's a pretty good hitter too for
he? Okay.
playing.
Which is
in
why
the AL.
Price will only pitch at
Give us
Fenway.
a 2-minute
Yeah.
warning.
Is Martinez starting in right field tonight? Do you know? Have
Yeah.
they released that?
Well, actually, he was,
Mhm.
but I think he hurt his leg a little bit. Yeah, it's nothing serious. I think he'll end up playing him. I think they're gonna move Mookie Betts to second base,
And
which
sit Kinsler down.
which I think they should.
I thought they
do.
were gonna sit down Jackie Bradley, is what I heard from the manager. Said it the other day. Mentioned that was an option.
That does make it interesting, though, doesn't it? Going to the National League and you don't
I'd
have the
rather
DH.
have JD or I'd rather have JBJ play instead of Kinsler.
Did JD Martinez used to play first for the whoever he played for before? I can't remember who it was. The Rangers, maybe.
No, he played for
Or
the
the-
Diamondbacks. He
Did
played
he?
outfield.
Or did he?
Hmm.
Okay.
Ding, 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 ding. 2-minute warning.
Final thoughts. We'll start with John Rizzo.
Jay,
Next.
Money, Rizzo. Next.
I don't
My
have
final
anything yet.
thought from the other day was right. Lakers won a game.
There you go. You were right.
Any predictions for your game on Saturday?
I don't want to jinx it.
All right.
I
Both
think it's
teams
going to go
show
to
up.
5
There you go.
sets.
5 sets?
All 5.
I have mine now.
GV in
so-
5?
I don't.
Or you know it's going to go 5?
I know it's going to go 5.
All right.
Mr. Hoffman, what we do here is predictions for the weekend, sports predictions for the weekend. What you think? What are you going to watch? What are you thinking about? Any sport.
Well, what I'm watching right now would be Notre Dame's football. I'm hoping they can get into the Final Four teams.
Final 4. They're number 3 right now, right?
Right. Well, 3 or 4.
3 or 4, depending on the.
Depends on which
That's
you
just
look
something we
at.
don't talk about is
Right.
college football.
Oh, well, it'll come
Why
out.
don't we
the
talk about
first-
college football?
The first rankings will come out on Monday, so we'll talk next
Yep.
Wednesday. Johnny, you got one?
Yep. Barcelona wins El Clasico against Real Madrid this weekend, even without Messi.
Wow. Messi's got a broken arm. That's a big call.
Can't you play with a broken arm? Seriously, though. That's a
no.
whole other discussion.
Did
But
you
Alright.
see
you
the
use your
injury?
feet, right? Isn't it a
It was
foot game?
nasty.
Okay. All right, what are we up to? Riley?
All right, I got 2.
Whoa.
UCF needs more credit, and Boston wins it all.
You should have been saying that the last 2 weeks.
Boston
And
wins
they
it all.
kept advancing, Chelsea.
Well, basketball season for Genesee Valley starts November 5th, and I'm projecting we're going to have a pretty good season this year. So,
All
we
right.
got a solid team.
I like Chelsea's shirt and
Thank you.
Yep.
Chelsea's
Twinsies.
shirt. And the Bills will cover the spread on Monday night.
Wow.
The Bills will cover the
Ooh.
spread. New England's picked by 14. The Bills will lose by less than 14.
Okay.
Wow, okay, final thoughts. The Bills next week in a surprise move pick up Johnny Manziel.
Oh, no.
Wow. Boom, you heard it here first.
You heard it here
You heard
first.
it here
That is a
first.
hot take.
There you go.
All right, take us home.
There you go.
Thanks for watching and tuning in. I'm Brock Elsesser, and this is GV Talk Sports.
Mr. Horton.
Mr. Dutt.
Riley.
Chelsea.
Mr. Hoffman.
Kennedy.
Hey, and thanks to Mr. Huffman, too.
Yeah.
for
Right.
coming
And
in
thanks
today.
to
Thank you.
WRAQ for putting us on the air. Appreciate it.
That's it. See ya.